Hey, it's Bill Simmons letting you know that we are covering The White Lotus on the Prestige TV podcast and the Ringer TV YouTube channel every Sunday night this season with Mallory Rubin and Joanna Robinson.
Also on Wednesdays, Rob Mahoney and I will be sort of diving deep into theories and listener questions. So you can watch that on the Ringer YouTube channel and also on the Spotify app.
Subscribe to the Prestige podcast feed. Subscribe to the Ringer TV YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can also watch these podcasts on Spotify. White Lotus, let's go.
Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are in Indianapolis in person. Craig, you have never been here before.
That's right.
We had to drag you kicking and screaming.
Yes, I'm here for the combine. A lot of teams ask for my test score, so I'm here. I'm going to do a lot of drills. People want to know what I'm doing.
Are you going to be participating like Shadir Sanders, or are you going to be? Well, he's not participating.
I'm going to give them the full gamut. I want them to fully see me. The problem was I tried to run a 40 after I had the St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail, which is like the most intense thing I've ever eaten in my life, which we can get to at the end of the show. Yeah. But it's been great to be here. I like Indy a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, free agency is in 2 weeks. NFL draft is in like 6 weeks. Don't quote me on that. I can't really count weeks. It's kind of harder than you think. But I think the offseason is like a poker game where you're trying to not let anyone know your cards. But I think the combine is the first week where you actually start to see what people might actually be holding in their hand. And so we're going to go through. But coaches are liars. And they're honestly, they get up, there's like 40 press conferences. There's like 3/4 of the league's coaches, 3/4 of the league's general managers get up and they do these pretty lengthy press conferences. And they're all trying to lie or give coded messages, but sometimes the truth seeps out of your pores, either by accident or you're very purposely trying to communicate something without saying it. So,
right. Is it basically a test of how media trained are you?
Yes. Which is why you always go to the new ones, because they're kind of, they're so nervous.
And so they're more apt to fuck up.
So you two were there at most of these. I was not. I was flying out here. And so you guys are going to kind of give me the rundown of what they said and less what they said, what they meant.
Well, that's the thing. So a few years ago we did this and we realized all the quotes are really boring. So then 2 years ago we came up with the anger translator thing. So Obama.
We stole that from.
Key and Peele. So Key and Peele had this Obama anger translator sketch that's basically like Key is Obama and he's just sitting there like, and we should unite the whole world. And then Luther's his anger translator just screaming like, get in line, motherfucker. And it's great. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. So we're going to do that. So one of us is going to read a quote from the press conferences, and then one of us will translate. DK is going to be my anger translator.
I'm going to try, yeah.
And he's going to translate what the coaches are actually trying to say. And then Craig is just going to, you're kind of going to vibes and like explain what's actually interesting or what's boring.
I'm going to act like I'm at this press conference for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to start with actually literally the beginning.
The actual first question.
So they come in waves. The first guy to get up to the press conference was literally Joe Schoen, the Giants GM. And the first thing that anyone said to Joe Schoen was they literally, like, Joe Schoen got up there and said, hello, everyone. And someone said, Joe, so Saquon Barkley won a Super Bowl and you let him leave. Do you think that was a mistake, Joe?
Is that really how it was working?
Yes,
yeah,
that was the vibe. I don't think that's verbatim. And
do you think that was a mistake?
And so Joe Schoen's like, I'm happy for Saquon. Obviously, he went on to win the Super Bowl. We wish him nothing but the best. Always going to evaluate all the decisions you make. And we were at a different place in our build. Wish Saquon the best.
Yeah.
Which translation?
I fucking hate Hard Knocks. Those fuckers made me look like an asshole. I will never forgive Hard Knocks. Fuck them.
I gotta say, that's a classy quote from Shane. He handled that well. I'm sure. I mean, that is probably
I'm happy for Saquon.
His team. Like, that is the number one question he's been prepped for probably 100 times. So, like, that answer actually is quite tasteful, I would say.
Well, he probably gets practice because his kids probably get bullied for it in school. His kids have to go to school in Jersey, and every day they're like, "Your dad discovered a Saquon." It's like the other guys. And he's like, you shot Derek Jeter. You should have shot A-Rod. I'm like, you don't hear that every day in school. The others, but literally on the hard, he actually was Joe Schoen, the Giants GM, was also asked about Hard Knocks specifically, and he literally was asked, have any other GMs contacted you about whether they should agree to go on Hard Knocks and what it's like? And so Joe Schoen said, this is a quote from Joe Schoen, I haven't gotten any calls. I think I know what I would tell them, though.
Translation?
Again.
Hard Knocks made me yearn for the sweet release of death.
Honestly, probably.
Fuck Hard Knocks.
Do you think a team will do it?
No, I think no, they would have started filming by now. No, that thing's over. I don't think it's ever.
Dude,
I think it might take 20 years. People have to forget
the Mara Shane conversation where he was like, oh, God, I'd hate to see Saquon leave. He's the favorite, or he's the fan favorite. That line and that quote ruined Hard Knocks forever.
It's so brutal because it's not even like that was leaked audio that somebody accidentally caught of them in a bathroom. It was just straight up them in the office.
It was in the show. Yeah.
Oh God.
You're gonna have to wait for everyone who's there in the moment to die out as a generation for it to come back. Like that, then it'll happen.
I could see Wood Johnson doing it.
Brick Johnson?
Well, his name's Wood, right?
Oh, Woody Johnson, the Jets' owner's son.
Wood.
Woody's the owner. Whose name is Wood? Brick is a nickname?
I think they're both Wood.
I thought Brick's name is Wood.
They're all just building materials, right?
Yeah.
It's a pharmaceutical
That is kind of funny
company.
Brick
Johnson.
Johnson.
I thought his name was Wood.
No, I think you're right.
No, Woody Johnson's name is...
No, his real name is not Brick. His real name is Robert Wood Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Oh, his middle name.
His name is Robert Wood Johnson V.
How did we even get on this?
Yeah. I was saying that I think Brick would be down to have the camera. Once he takes over the Jets, I could see him kind of inviting all that in and doing honestly the Real Housewives of the New York Jets.
That's actually a good idea. The other thing that Joe Shane said, which I think is less memey but more just actual news, is Joe Shane was asked, basically, are you going to trade for Matt Stafford or what?
Yeah.
And he said, you have to ask the Rams that.
Oh.
He said, I can't talk about that. He's under contract, which translation, what do you think, DK?
Hell yes. We're trying to get Matt Stafford. We don't have a quarterback on our roster.
Just Tommy Cutlets?
Yeah.
Matty Stafford. I do.
See, he's like a futures contract or something, right?
Yeah, the Stafford thing is crazy because I know we talked about this on Monday, which really was on Thursday because we recorded that episode in advance. So I think in a week, the Stafford thing, even since we had that discussion, the Rams actually gave Matt Stafford's agent permission to talk to other teams about a trade in the contract.
Gauging your value or
is
whatever,
the kind of thing that happens when there is a chasm between how much a player thinks it's worth. This is what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson. When the Ravens, that wasn't about money, it was about guaranteed money, where Lamar was like, I would like 5 years, $300 million fully guaranteed. And the Ravens were like, you know what? If anyone will give that to you, let us know.
And then they went to all the other owners and were like, hey,
no one give it to him.
It was arguably collusion, right?
It was definitely collusion.
We're not doing the Deshaun thing.
It was, I guess I should say allegedly, because I'm talking about 32 billionaires who could sue us. But allegedly that was definitely collusion. But now the Rams are like, yeah, go ahead, Matt. And so I think there is. This is one of those stories that the first time I heard Stafford might be traded, I was like, this is just off-season clickbait. I actually think it might be more likely than not at this point. Obviously, you could still resolve it, but I think Stafford's like, I am playing really well. We almost beat the Eagles. I would like $60 million a year. I can't be paid less than Brock Purdy. Yeah. And the Rams are like, you're falling apart. You're throwing elbow, you're back, and we're going to give you $60 million.
Who's their quarterback going to be then?
Well,
I mean, they have Jimmy G.
Well, Jimmy G.
He's a free agent.
I wonder about Kirk Cousins, who's going to get cut from the Falcons.
No, that makes no. I mean, I know he'd be.
He's minimum though. He's $1 million.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. It's weird, but again, this was a story that even a week ago we're like, no, and I was like, the Rams are letting him talk to other teams. That's how bad it is.
There is a lot of buzz here that this is real. You get the combine.
It feels like the Rams are getting too cute, and I understand that they're actually kind of young now and planning for the future and not in win-now mode, but they're so close to still winning right now. Again, they were the closest team to beating the Eagles in the playoffs.
Yeah.
McVay and Stafford, I think, probably still have a very good relationship, and why can't you keep this as a short 1 to 2 year thing, pay Matt Stafford what he deserves, and then figure it out? Your team is young. You can afford that.
I don't know. I think Stafford wants a lot, and the Rams don't want to meet it. Whether maybe Stafford's being reasonable and the Rams actually are being stingy. Maybe the Rams are being a little more realistic and Stafford just wants to be the highest paid player. That's it. I mean, Stafford's been the highest paid player a lot. He's one of the last quarterbacks that got, we were talking about the quarterback CBA in 2011. Stafford was before that. So Stafford's the highest paid player in NFL history when he got drafted. So, I mean, he's always been, getting a lot of money. But I will say, someone said we should have $1 every time we bring up the Golden State Warriors in the show. The Rams have this 2 timelines thing like the Warriors tried, where they're like, we're going to have our whole core of Draymond and Klay Thompson and Steph, and we're also going to have all these 19-year-olds. And then, predictably, you try to do 2 things, you get neither.
Well, yeah, they did win the title, but that's the reason why the reason why the Warriors doubled down so heavily after that is because they thought if we can do it once, we can do it forever. Which is not the case.
Well, the Rams are similar, where you had Stafford, Cup, Aaron Donald, and then all these, and then Donald retires, and they replace him in the aggregate, and now they're getting rid of Cup, and it's like Stafford's this last vestige of are you resetting a window, or are you trying to run it back?
Last vestige?
Yeah,
is that how you say it?
Vestige.
Vestige?
Yeah. Vestige.
But you say prestige. You don't say prestige.
Yeah, once
That's
again,
how it is.
Vestige?
Because it's vestigial. Like a vestigial.
Is that what I'm saying when I say vestige? Vestige?
It's definitely not.
What did I even say?
It's
not
vestige.
I think of it like
vestigial.
prestige because when Call of Duty, like you get to level 50 in Call of Duty 4, you would prestige and go back to the bottom, and that was called prestige.
Worldwide.
What?
World.
Prestige worldwide.
Dude, look.
No, but it is
What were we talking
vestige.
about? Vestige.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. I think. Well, honestly,
Vestigial.
I think that their issue is that Stafford has like vestigial limbs left. You know what I mean? Like it's just like his elbows hanging on by threads.
I do think that if Stafford were to get traded to a team like the Giants, I feel like the Giants could almost quickly become what the Rams were last year or a few years ago, where it's like the Giants kind of, or did I say the Rams? The Giants could become kind of what the Rams have been. Where the Giants have a couple pieces already. Like they have
got some talent.
You have Malik Neighbors. You have a lot of good guys on the defensive line. And it's like you have the third pick in the draft. You could go take a Travis Hunter or something like that, or Abdul Carter if he falls. And then you slot in Matt Stafford with Malik Neighbors. And it's like the Giants are kind of immediately like a fringe wild card team.
FanDuel, shout out FanDuel Sportsbook. They made a mistake on their Super Bowl odds because the Giants are listed at 200 to 1. I don't know why, but something happened and the Giants were listed at 470 to 1, which that's not a thing.
To what?
Like team to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's not a thing. Like teams are not listed lower than like 250 to 1. So I put $10 down to win $4,700 if the Giants win the Super Bowl. Because I was thinking if they get Matt Stafford,
still doesn't
I mean, they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
no, well,
but,
you think I just lose the $10?
I feel like it should be $10 to win.
I mean, they're not winning.
But it's not about that. It's about getting to stare at the 4,700 for like I get 9 months to stare at that. Because if they make the playoffs, then I can just hedge.
Totally.
You don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl?
No, I don't.
Do you think they're going to get Matt Stafford?
I don't. I'm. If they get Matt Stafford, I feel happy and confident they're going to not finish last in touchdowns again.
Thanks.
So there's that.
But I do think the Giants are a team that actually makes sense for Matt Stafford. Honestly, I think the Steelers do as well.
The other team's the Raiders because Brady apparently already, was getting involved, and I'm like, I actually think the Raiders are kind of intriguing. I think, those are the two teams I think could take Shadur, Giants or Raiders, and I think one of them gets Shadur or Cam Ward, and I think the other one gets Stafford.
I get
or the Rams.
From Pete Carroll's perspective, I would understand why he wants Matt Stafford. But the Raiders in general, to me, seem like they should get a young guy and build up.
Well, if you're Stafford, you want to play with Brian Dable and Malik Neighbors.
Years.
Yeah, it's like if you're Stafford, you're looking at it. The Giants' offensive line's tough, but at least you actually have. The Raiders' offensive line probably on average is better. Just like they have more reliable players, but Malik Neighbors is Neighbors. I don't know. Anyway,
that'd be fun.
So I do think Kirk could be the guy in the Rams because here. So the other one here was Terry Fontenot, the general manager of the Falcons, who somehow went from being in the marketing department to running the team. But so the Kirk Cousins. Fontenot was asked if Kirk Cousins will remain the backup entering the season.
Yeah, and he's essentially said the plan at this point, that is the plan at this point, that they're going to pay him his bonus, and he'll be on the team.
I think when I hear
how do you translate that?
When I hear the plan, that's the plan at this point. I hear fuck no.
That's the plan until
not.
precisely when we have a different plan.
Anytime you hear right now, that's
right
the plan.
Now, dude, that was like when Cliff Kingsbury went up there and they're like, so when they had the first pick in the Kyler Murray draft, and they were like, "Is Josh Rosen your quarterback?" He said, "Right now."
Right.
Yeah. Or Steve Keim said it.
We could be dead tomorrow.
We could be dead tomorrow. So yeah, Kirk, they're going to cut him. It's $10 million to keep Kirk Cousins, for no reason. So they're going to cut him. I think the other interesting thing
so it's just $10 million more.
It's $10 million more. Yeah, no. It's what it
they've
actually
already paid him what?
So here,
90, he had 100 guaranteed, right?
The timing, so $90 million guaranteed, and that's basically money. He's going to get $90 million for 14 games. That's already going to happen, which is crazy to think about it.
He has finesse. He's the king of finesse.
Good work if you can get
He's
it.
Finesse the contract structures in the NFL for so long.
Well, it's funny because
guarantees.
But the irony is, it's actually his willingness to bet on himself.
Yeah,
and also other teams' unwillingness to bet on him.
Under 2 franchise tags, right?
He's the perfect storm of he's not good enough that a team's ever been like, this is our guy,
right,
for sure. But he's good enough to get paid on an open market. So it's like if Patrick Mahomes had the balls to just go to free agency and just be like, I want to be, he'd probably make $90 million a year. You know what I mean? Someone would just do it. But no, good quarterbacks don't make it. But anyway, so Kirk, the interesting thing to me was Kirk a few weeks ago said on NFL Network, he said that against the Saints in week 10, he got hit in the shoulder and his elbow, and then he was dealing with it all year, and he was never right or healthy after that. And so Fontenot, the GM of the Falcons, was asked about this. And Terry Fontenot said, and I quote, Kirk was on the injury report that 1 week. When a player's injured, we put him on the injury report. That's the only time he was on the injury report. So as far as we're concerned, that's the only injury we're aware of.
Okay.
Which I translated as
what's going on with all these injuries? Well, people are lying about injuries a lot.
So I think Kirk Cousins got put on, and he was mad about it. He called it a clerical error. when he was asked why he was on the injury report, which I think is basically players don't want to admit when they're hurt.
Well, also, like, are you hurt is subjective because the answer is like
Everyone's
almost
hurt.
always
Everyone's
yes.
hurt.
But
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
how banged up are you? What is the threshold to where you're actually officially hurt?
And also, they lie about it. Again, like Christian McCaffrey, like was ruled out. He had Achilles tendonitis, and he missed 7 weeks. They put him out 90 minutes for the game time. So it's like I think Kirk was lying about it, and then the Falcons were like, also, there's no love lost there because Kirk is mad at that. Basically, I think Kirk's willing to throw the Falcons under the bus. And like, yeah, I was playing hurt because he's mad that they signed him and then drafted Penix. So he's mad about it.
Right.
And then the Falcons kind of look at it as like, okay, bro, you wanted us to lie for you then, but like we're not going to admit that we were lying later. So it's weird. But overall, Kirk basically wanted to lie then, but now he wants to act like he was hurt because he needs a market. He needs to like get a starting job.
So Kirk's going to make like 40, 45 million this year no matter what.
No, you have the numbers in front of you. So what's going to happen? So when it says base salary is $27.5 million, the Falcons are going to have to pay that because they guaranteed it. They guaranteed him in the contract they gave him. So then, but what happens on St. Patrick's Day is there's a $10 million roster bonus. So if he's on their roster on St. Patrick's Day, they have to give him $10 million cash direct deposit. So it's like, why would the Falcons do that for a backup quarterback? You're already giving him 20. Just cut him and save the $10 million.
Yeah, but I guess like if I was playing devil's advocate, they could pay that bonus, wait until the team has an injury at quarterback or whatever, and then have much more leverage to trade him, right?
You wait until after free agency maybe, and if the team is stuck without a quarterback.
But that's like a $10 million gamble.
I don't think anyone's going to take him under his current contract because they're playing chicken with the Falcons. What's going on is the team. It's honestly like in fantasy football. It's actually very similar where it's like, which sounds funny, but it's true. You ever have a guy that's like kind of good you don't want to cut on your fantasy team, but you're going to cut him? And then you ask other people, like, do you want to trade for this guy? And they're like, you're going to fucking cut him.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not trading for that guy. Like, you're going to cut him. That's what's going on. Like, the Falcons are trying to convince people that they'll keep Kirk, but they're lying because they're going to cut him and so teams would rather just wait, pay him $1 million because why would you trade for him when you're going to pay him 27 if you could just wait and he can sign with you, which is, I think, what might be going with the Rams.
Well, it's funny that they did. So they draft Michael Penix after signing Kirk Cousins because they're like, we actually love the idea of having a strong backup. And now the roles are just reversed. Why don't you still just want a strong backup? Isn't it the same thing? So the whole thing that you wanted the insurance if one of these injury-prone quarterbacks goes down, and now you don't have that.
You know, I didn't think about it like that.
Maybe they fucking keep him. Wasn't that the whole calculus of why they drafted Michael Penix is to have two?
It's kind of like the Daniel Jones thing when the Giants cut him and then ran out of quarterbacks and we're like, who's going to play? And they're like, if only someone knew your system.
Yeah.
It's like Penix who had the six injuries or whatever, and it's like now he's going to get hurt one time. And they're like, oh.
I feel like the whole point is that you have somebody behind Penix or Kirk. Just because Penix is starting doesn't change their philosophy, right?
It just makes it messy. It makes it messy from the locker room point of view because Kirk Cousins is making $100 million guaranteed to be the backup. I think that alone is just kind of weird.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just funny. They better get a good backup then.
I know.
The other thing that happened, so in New York, so the Jets general manager, the new general manager is Darren Mougey. And so I Googled how to pronounce it, Mougey, and then I Googled it, and it just said it's like Moo, Gee. And I was like, so is Gee a G or is it a
Moogie?
Gee. It's G, right? It's Mougey.
I don't know.
No, I think it's Moogie.
You think it's Moogie?
Yeah.
But Aaron Glenn called him Moog.
Moog? Oh, well, in that sense.
So let's call him Darren. Jets GM Darren. Anyway,
Moogie.
Jets GM with Moogie.
What do you think that?
But you're reading
that
it.
doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't help to be like Gee. I'm like, how do you pronounce Gee?
MOO-GEE.
Moo like a
Really
cow.
hard. It needs to be a J. If it were,
If it's G,
need to
you should
spell
put
it
a J
phonetically.
there. But isn't it weird that to get the letter G, you would want a J for the letter G? Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, because if you're going to say G Willikers, how do you spell G and G?
Oh, I think it's Gee.
Yeah,
But is that whoever wrote that in Google Gemini? Did they know that?
Nobody wrote that on Google Gemini.
No. So anyway, the GM of the Jets was asked about Devontae Adams being on the team, and the GM said, Devontae Adams is on the team right now.
Got it.
What do you think that means? What do you think that means, DK?
Once again, translation, Devontae Adams will shortly not be on the team. Very soon.
Everyone, they're so sick of Rodgers. Even the coach, Aaron Glenn, who's, I would run through a wall for that guy. I heard him talk for 5 minutes. I'm like, I'll die for you, Aaron Glenn. But Aaron Glenn was like, I don't know how many times more he could have said, I really want to talk about anyone other than Aaron Rodgers. Like, I literally would like anything other than Aaron Rodgers I'd like to talk about. And they can save $30 million cutting Devontae. But
That's interesting.
But the other thing that was so funny to me was, so Rodgers is going to get cut. Devontae's probably going to get cut unless someone wants to trade for him. But the other thing that I thought was so funny was the GM of the Jets comes out and he gives an opening statement. He's like, I am not here to address any specific rumors or anything. Because, like, it was a rumor that the Aaron Rodgers, they had offered to let him stay. if he would stop doing Pat McAfee
right.
and show up to mandatory minicamp instead of figuring out that
Stop going
aliens
to
built the
Egypt in the
pyramids.
off-season.
Yeah, it's like don't investigate aliens building pyramids during mandatory minicamp.
Right.
So there was a report. So Darren Mugi, whatever, comes out and says, I am not here to address specific private conversations or confirm or deny rumors. However, we did not have any specific conversations with players to stipulate. I'm like, okay, cool. So you actually are here to deny rumors about private. Denial. That's a denial about a private conversation. Got it. Okay. Anyway, Jets are fucked. Purging. The other one here that I thought was really funny was the Browns general manager Andrew Berry, who I'm adding to the list of energy vampires. I think there's 3 energy vampires among the general managers.
I feel like there's a lot of benefit in being the most boring person at the the podium or whatever.
Can you explain the energy vampire?
Like sick of it and just leave. Yeah.
Can you explain the energy vampire thing to people who don't watch What We Do in the Shadows?
The energy vampire is from What We Do in the Shadows. Basically, instead of biting their prey, they just like suck the energy right out of them. There's like one of my favorite scenes is like the energy vampire gets back to work on a Monday and he corners like his coworker and starts
in a cubicle.
He starts talking to him about like his Q-tips. He's like, man, this weekend, I don't remember exactly. So he's like, I broke my Q-tips, and then you can see
you're not supposed to go to outer ear because you can push the wax
you
down
can see
into
his
the canal.
coworkers just like his face just start like melt like
she like dies.
The guy you wish you didn't get stuck in a conversation with.
Yeah,
it's also great because one of his best ways to do the energy vampire thing is just troll people on Twitter.
Oh yeah, he just replies he replies to doctors being like, "That's not what I read."
Exactly. It's so fucking.
So
funny.
there are 3 general managers who I'm convinced are energy vampires. Okay. It's Nick Caserio for the Texans, who I almost fell asleep. Monty Austinford for the Cardinals. He does. Too. Monty Austinford for the Cardinals, who I once talked to for 5 minutes, and I was like, I have to get out of this. I can't.
I'm so sorry. I have to go.
Right before you're talking, like, oh my god, I'm about to talk to a GM. You get so much good information. You're like, God, I gotta go.
It was nice.
The concert goer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, actively enjoying concert. Can't wait for it to be over.
So anyway, I'm adding a third, which is Andrew Berry for the Browns, who and I'm like, oh my God, I feel the life force draining from it. So he says, but he starts out talking about Myles Garrett, and I'm just going to read, literally, these are all different. In the first 5 minutes, he said all of these things. Because Myles Garrett requested a trade. We can't imagine a situation where not having Myles as part of the organization is best for the Browns. We appreciate Myles, and like I said, we're not interested in moving him. Asked again, ultimately, my responsibility is to make decisions that are best for the Browns. Myles is a part of the organization, is a huge piece of that. Again, our interest is in keeping Myles. What's best for the Browns is to have Myles on the roster.
Stop fucking asking me about Myles Garrett. Idiots.
Or the translation is like, you better hit me with a fat offer.
Yeah, I know.
Two firsts plus.
Because I disagree with this. I don't think it is in the Browns' best interest to have 30-year-old Myles Garrett.
At the end of the day,
they should get rid of him. Sell him while it's hot. I mean, he's not. 2 years from now, he will be diminished. He's peaking right now.
Right.
He probably already has peaked a little bit.
This is similar to the Saquon thing, where it's like the problem with the Giants and Saquon is not actually letting him go to the Eagles. It was letting Saquon leave for nothing. That was the mistake.
Yes.
Either keep Saquon Barkley on your team or trade him at the trade deadline or the previous year, tag him and then trade him again, get something in exchange. And this is kind of like if Saquon was a defensive end instead of a running back, where you're like, Myles Garrett, frankly, I don't think a player has been, Bill Barnwell wrote a good column on the CSPN, I don't think there's been a player available at a premium position that's as good as Myles Garrett with potentially as much left, probably since Reggie White, when free agency first opened. Like, this is the version of it where it's like Reggie White was a free agent, I think it was 29-30, and then he had like 4 more, he ended up being one of, but maybe the top 4 defensive ends in the history of the NFL. Dude, I think this is all the Saquon effect. Like, this is like bad or great players and bad teams saw Saquon go and immediately just have the best season any skill player's ever had, probably. 2,000 yards, win the Super Bowl. And I think Myles Garrett's like, why isn't that my life?
Dear God, I see what you give others, and I want that for me too. What is it? It's like, dear Jesus.
Dear Jesus.
I've seen what you do for others, and I want that for me too.
I mean, I get it. I completely agree. They should just get 3 firsts for him and call it a day. Draft Cam Ward at 2 or whatever, and like start over, rebuild.
Well, so this is the thing. I understand that at some point with first rounders, it's like you want good players, but it's also about cost control good players, so you could put a price on it. So it's like, if for example, if you get the Jags and you get a Brian Thomas, and if Brian Thomas at $7 million a year, is that more valuable than Jamar Chase at 30? And I understand that that's like part of it. So when you have to give up 2 firsts and pay Myles, it's kind of like you're having 2 giant contracts basically. Having said that, do you guys ever just go and look through players your team has drafted and been like, I would find 2 in a row first rounders you wouldn't trade Myles Garrett for. Because I'm like, I don't know, if you go through like Washington's picks and you take out Jaden Daniels from it, I'm like, what 2 Washington first round picks in a row would you not trade Jaden for? I'm like, I'd give 2 first and a second, which is like technically too much, but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that's like probably, if you hit the picks, that's bad, but I'm also like, teams miss. Emmanuel Forbes was a first round pick.
Like a 50% hit rate on first
the mystery
round.
box.
Yeah.
No, just take Myles
You're
Garrett.
selling hope.
I think the issue is that he had 2 foot injuries last year. He had flat feet and he got surgery to correct it. And he's like, I think that's kind of fucking me now. Like when he was a kid.
He had surgery when he was a kid?
Yeah, so he has 2 feet issues. That's why he was bad this year. Because he had these multiple foot issues. But I don't think they're going to go
How do
away.
you surgically repair a flat foot?
Dude, my feet are so flat.
I know they are. Those things are like flippers.
They look like McRib buns.
They do. How do you add an arch to a foot?
I think you cut out the arch. Did I ever tell you guys that
Cut out the arch. There is no arch.
Well,
It's flat.
you sculpt one. I guess that's
You
not how
shave it
muscles
down?
work. Yeah, I guess that's not how feet work.
I'm not sure. That's something I'm curious to if any emailers know.
If
how
anyone
you can
knows how
create an arch from a foot.
If anyone knows how Myles Garrett fixed his feet, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone will figure it out.
This one's really important. This one's important to me. So the Jaguars general manager, for those who don't know the saga, the Jags tried to hire Liam Cohen from the Buccaneers to be their head coach, and he was like, nah, your GM Trent Baalke's crazy. So they fired the GM, and they hired Liam Cohen as their coach. But they didn't fill the GM spot until like 5 days ago, to the point where literally on the materials we get for the Combine with the press conference times, it said Jaguars general manager TBD on the paperwork for the Combine, which is insane. So anyway, I wanted to see who this guy was. They hired a guy named James Gladstone from the Rams. Not like, I think I don't want to call him an analytics guy, but he's not a traditional scout. 34 years old. Cool. Good work if you can get it. So I'm waiting for the Jags team to come up to the podium, and a public relations staffer for the Jags comes up and adjusts the microphone, and then he just starts talking. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's the GM. This is the youngest looking guy I have ever seen. He looks like Ben Solak's older brother.
Yeah, he does.
Dude, look at this. This guy runs a team. He honestly looks like a kicker.
He can't grow a mustache.
No, he doesn't. I have more facial hair than this guy. He runs a team. He looks like he works for Musk at Doge. He's like big balls.
Yeah.
He should be running the government, not the
And he
Jags.
didn't do himself any favors with the clothes he wore too. It's like he's got like a hoodie on with like a shacket.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
well. So I'm at this press conference, and again, I don't think I'm overrating this. I literally cannot believe this guy runs an NFL team. So anyway,
Heifetz is just like up there gawking at
I was a little unprofessional. I'm not gonna lie, I was unprofessional.
Just-
like my jaw dropped. I did not have a poker
You're like,
face.
wow, like, what are your favorite video games?
So no, so
What?
everyone starts asking him football questions, and I'm like, what? And so I just raised my hand. I'm like, so you were hired 4 days ago. Like, where do you live? And he's like, I'm living in Indianapolis in this hotel right now. And then he says, so my wife is pregnant and due the first week of May, which is after the draft.
Oh, wow.
And so he's like, we have a month-long window. I'm going to read the quote. He literally said, my wife is in fact pregnant. She's due at the end of May. So we got about a 30-day travel window that we can work with here. Bring it all to life. So there's a shot clock for sure.
I thought you weren't even supposed to fly in the final trimester.
That's what he's saying. He has to get his wife. They have to get a house and then get his wife, move his pregnant wife from LA to Jacksonville, and then also do free agency in 2 weeks.
Buck, though, for sure.
This guy, I literally wasn't sure if I should feel less accomplished about my entire life. The fact that this guy probably is getting carded at Bard still is like going to run the team, or like, I don't know. Isn't this the worst 3 months of his life?
Or best.
Both?
Come on. He's stressed, but it's good stress. He'll look back on this very fondly. He had a baby. He got hired as the
Yeah, he slept in his office while his wife was, slept in his office.
Somebody
6 days a week.
somebody tweeted this is the Jags' new GM, Doogie Gladstone. Did you guys remember Doogie Howser, the show from the 80s?
I never watched
That's actually my go-to thing for if I know someone's a lot older than me. Is that
child doctor.
They say Doogie Howser.
I actually know if someone says
I
Doogie
think it's
Howser, you're old.
Doogie.
Doogie.
It's
Yeah,
Doogie.
yeah,
Doogie. He's the GM of the Jets. Doogie, who is Doogie Howser?
Did you guys get like?
Oh, is this the child doctor? Oh,
Yeah.
this is what people
Yeah,
call
yeah.
Solak.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doogie.
do they?
Oh, now I get it.
I don't
See,
know.
Doogie
Doogie
sounds so
Howser.
old.
I used to watch that show. It's pretty good.
What is it, like House, but with kids?
Who's the actor in that? He's famous now. He
Wasn't it Neil Patrick
yeah,
Harris?
yeah. He was on
Neil Patrick Harris. Oh, he's Doogie Howser.
Doogie.
Wow. Okay, Doogie Howser.
No, it's not Doogie.
I think it's like
Doogie.
Darren Moogie.
The radio guys in Chicago are laughing at us because you want to come here? You want to come here and talk? You know Doogie? Hey, wait, they can't hear. Here, Wait, sorry. I'm Danny.
Did you watch?
Silverman.
Did you watch Doogie Howser?
I love Doogie Howser.
You did?
Yeah,
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
So what is Doogie Howser about?
Doogie Howser is a child doctor. He's like 13 or 14 years old. And he's the type of kid that went to college because he was so smart.
Yeah.
And now he's practicing medicine and he's solving the world's problems.
Why?
It's just like young Sheldon if he was a doctor.
I feel very uncomfortable right now. I just had one of those Italian wraps and it had onions and peppers
That's
on
all
it.
right.
We
And I'm
lean in
super
close to him.
Wait,
First of all,
with
you're
my
fine.
garlicky onion bread.
This is a Chicago legend. You're the legend of Chicago.
Why-
Legend. Where'd you get lunch? We didn't have any lunch.
Upstairs in the free. The nose knows the free lunch.
Yeah.
I had the worst Caesar salad I've ever had in my life up there, but I'm willing to go back and give it another shot.
Oh, it was
The Italian wrap is where it's at.
Wait, can I ask you a question about Doogie Howser? Why is his name Doogie?
Yeah, why is his name Doogie?
I'm a nickname.
It's a nickname?
I would think it's a nickname.
Interesting. You'd think as a doctor you want to go by something a bit more professional than
Right.
Doogie.
I think he wanted to put people at ease because he was a child doctor.
Okay.
And so people saw him and they were
I think I go the other way.
worried. Oh, really? Like
If it's a child doctor, I want him to walk in and be like, "Hello, my name's Mr. Harrison. I'll be taking care of you. I'm Dr.
Yeah.
Harrison." Not, "Hey, I'm Doogie."
Like the little girl in Severance.
His name was Dr. Douglas Doogie Howser.
the girl in Severance, by the way, is freaking me out.
Yeah, she's freaking.
And now I'm not totally caught up. I'm like 4 episodes in.
Yeah,
I'm a
same.
little behind.
Spoiler alert.
She is freaking-
It's no spoiler.
But-
Just it's in the first scene. It's like there's like a 15-year-old girl interning at Severance this season.
She's not
It's not a
15.
spoiler.
I think-
I don't know.
You're really
12,
bad with your
10?
child acting.
I think she's like 12, but she's quite tall. She's lanky.
I don't know.
awful with the child
I'm
acting.
gonna get canceled with this Doogie Howser conversation.
Yeah, calling him Doogie.
That's only because of Darren Moogie or Muji. We don't know his
wanna say it?
name.
Doogie.
No.
Moogie.
The GM of the Jets.
Moogie
Is
or
it
Muji?
Moogie or Muji?
We got our own problems in Chicago. there are cousins,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Jets. The Bears' cousin is
Yeah.
the Jets.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
we have our own problems.
All
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Great to
Thank
meet
you
you
so
guys.
much.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks, man. Did you guys get vibes when he was talking about like his pregnant wife and moving into a house and everything? Of like, you remember the Will Ferrell skit? Like, I drive a Dodge Stratus. Of course, you must respect. I drive a Dodge Stratus.
Yeah.
Kind of had that vibes. It was a little bit like,
You'll treat me with respect.
I am an adult. I have a pregnant wife. Therefore, I've had sex with her. I am an adult.
I have a
And you will
Costco
respect
card.
me. You will treat me as an adult.
His air of like being like, no, this is totally normal. I'm not worried.
I
And I
pay
was
for
like,
my own Netflix account.
Anyway, the Doogie Howser. When I saw that tweet, someone
Doogie
said
Howser.
Doogie, whatever his last name. What's his last name?
Gladstone.
Gladstone.
Howser.
Doogie Gladstone. I thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, but really, who is the Jags GM?
So why'd they hire this guy?
well, they
They were just like, oh, the
they
Raiders
waited-
are smart.
Most teams that hire their GMs, by the time they fired theirs, and I think they,
You think
well, no, the real
was
answer.
Liam Cohen just like, hey,
No.
hire the Rams people?
The real answer, which we probably should talk about more, is because he has the same agent as Liam Cohen. And the biggest part of hiring that we probably should talk about more on the show is that coaches and GMs often now are packaged. It's kind of actually like movies, right? That's how movies are made now, where it's like an agency is giving a roster of like, oh, you want Chris Evans in this movie, like you also have to pull from other CAA clients or whatever, or like to fill the movie. That's kind of how teams are filling coaching now. Where it's
Packaging
like,
deals, which
yeah.
are you can't do anymore in Hollywood. Those have been outlawed.
Is it?
Yeah.
How'd they do that?
The union. It was the
Oh, the union got rid of it?
Unions got rid of it because agencies were essentially like stopping other people from being like freely trying to audition and like have a chance to be in movies. They basically sold these prepackaged
Yeah.
CAA movies to a studio without letting other people
So-
like have a chance to contribute.
the coaches and GMs don't have a union, so they're still packaged.
Right.
So it's like an agent. If it's like if you want this coach, so like I basically, and also there's just a relationship element to it of like you're a coach, you have to move your whole life, and you're like, oh, I need a GM, and that's kind of your agent's job too, is to like have a good candidate. So it's not just like nefarious. It's like, oh, like your agent also wants to set up the coach for success. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Is a lot of these guys share
It's
agents.
like when you finish a television show and it's like, if you liked Stranger Things,
Yes.
you would also like Wednesday.
Exactly. It's
And
a
like, if you
recommendation.
like Liam Cohen, you would also like
I don't know who else to hire.
Doogie Howser.
Yeah, Doogie fucking Howser. Oh my god! All
that
right,
was
so
fun.
shout out Doogie. All right, other ones
Imagine
here.
having a 13-year-old doctor.
I was gonna say he looks 10. He walks in. It's like a 10-year-old's trying to treat you.
The show House, but with a 13-year-old.
Doogie Howser.
I said that earlier. You weren't
Oh,
listening.
did you say
Oh,
that?
Doogie House. Oh, that's
Doogie Howser.
that's
There you
good.
go. There you go.
All right, next one here. We're bringing in producer Carlos because he's a Dolphins sicko, and honestly, we're kind of mean to you about the Dolphins. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
The
it's okay.
Dolphins are kind of mean to you about it.
That's true. My first season that I went to the Dolphins games as like a season ticket holder, they went 1-15.
The only way to go is up.
Wait, is that when Nick Saban bailed on you?
No, that was before
Cam
that.
Cameron?
I grew up like hating Nick Saban because he abandoned the Dolphins after he said he was never going to leave.
How'd that go for you, hating Nick Saban?
It did not go well. But then he gave me to us, so that, maybe that's a punch in the face too. I don't know.
So you brought this one to my attention, so I want you to give the context around what's going on with the Dolphins, and then I want you to give us the quote for this one.
Yeah, so basically all the Dolphins drama is about Tyreek Hill right now. Did Tyreek Hill have wrist surgery? Does he want to quit the team? Does he want to be traded? All this stuff. The biggest question is, first of all, the wrist surgery thing. Let's talk about that. So Tyreek Hill, he maybe had wrist surgery. It was like what we were thinking the past couple of weeks, because he had a video where he claiming he had wrist surgery, but then, and at the end of the season, he claimed he hurt his wrist, and that was why he sucked this year, which he did.
Didn't he claim he hurt it getting arrested?
I think so, but then even in that arrest video, he talks about how he just had surgery.
Oh, God.
So,
I
don't know. The entire situation is very strange, right?
It should be easier to know if somebody had surgery.
Should it?
Yeah.
That seems private.
Well, don't you have to report injury reports?
HIPAA.
I feel like
That's HIPAA.
Yeah.
Teams have to report what's going on with their players.
The injury reports are for gambling because they don't want injuries to be like an inside track, but it's kind of weird. You just want access to everyone's medical information.
If Tyreek is
That's just for Doge. Only Doge can have
If
that.
Tyreek has had wrist surgery, I would like to know that.
I think we're actually we're obligated to get that information.
Yeah.
Should we pass a bill where you actually have to disclose your medical information to us? What's the opposite of HIPAA?
It's the NFL though. They're supposed to tell us this shit.
The Dua Lipa. You're due us. There's no joke there. Anyway, what's going on?
So yeah. Mike McDaniel confirmed that Tyreek Hill did in fact have wrist surgery in this offseason, and he specifically said that it was a ligament issue, which is very strange because the Dolphins don't give information about injuries ever. They give the bare minimum.
Right.
So it is very strange that McDaniel is giving this information openly and very willingly in this press conference. And then beyond that, there's the question of, he had this whole mess at the end of the season where he left the game in the middle of the game, remember, where even though
Sometimes they call it quitting.
Yes, they technically had a chance at the playoffs, right? And then at the end of the game, he said he doesn't know if he wants to be here, right?
No,
so
he's tweeting about it, and he was talking about see you later, thanks,
It was a 3-minute conversation. At the beginning of the conversation, he was very wishy-washy. He's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. By the end of the 3 minutes, he's like, you know what?
I'm done.
Screw it.
I'm done.
out.
I'm out.
So that's all going on with Tyreek going in or after the season, right? And then all that happens, and then it comes out in local Miami radio, like Joe Rose, who is a well-connected Dolphins personality down in South Florida. He says that Tyreek Hill got Wes Welker fired.
The receivers coach.
The receivers coach for the Dolphins last season. And that he was the reason that Wes Welker got fired. Now, does that mean that Tyreek Hill specifically requested Wes Welker get fired, or does that mean that Tyreek Hill's antics at the end of the season and the fact that Tyreek Hill was constantly late to meetings all season, which is another thing that came out, was the reason that Wes Welker got fired?
Would you rather have Tyreek Hill or Wes Welker, though, on the Dolphins?
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
Wes can still play, maybe.
That's true. But
honestly, you have to think about it at this point.
But if this is a player who is on his way out, he's got a foot out the door already.
Right.
And a ligament out the door.
Yeah. Then why are we bending to his will for a position coach? That seems very strange to me.
So what did McDaniel say about this?
So McDaniel flat out denied this. He said, and I quote, "I could see why one could come to that conclusion. However, not at all. In coaching specifically, I have high regard for Wes Welker." And that is true. Wes Welker is... Mike McDaniel and Wes Welker are friends. So it is very strange that Wes Welker got fired.
To me, it's not strange at all. To me, it's the Dolphins really want to keep Tyreek Hill because if they don't have Tyreek Hill, they will be way worse. And yeah, he may be a huge diva, and the Dolphins weren't that good this year, last year, and he quit on the team. But it's you're kind of stuck where you are, and it's you need Tyreek Hill. So if Tyreek Hill doesn't want Wes Welker, you pick Tyreek Hill over Wes Welker.
All right. If I was I'm going to quit this podcast, and then Danny Kelly was fired a week later, and then I was asked, did you get Danny Kelly fired? And I was I could see why one could come to that conclusion,
But not at all.
but not the case.
Yeah.
The actual translation is, I could see why one could come to that
I
conclusion.
could see why one could come to that conclusion.
And just stop
That's
there.
all.
Translation is that is correct.
You know that-
I can't say
That's correct. I can see why someone would come to that conclusion. Yeah.
Stop right there. It's perfect. Dude, Carlos, thank you.
Yeah,
oh
no
my
problem.
God.
I'll go back to my Dolphins segment.
I've been, by the way, I've been loving talking to you about the Dolphins drama this week. It's been great.
Yeah.
Just constant drama with that
While we're
team.
here, is there
They're
any
a drama
rebuttals
factory.
to anything we've said about the Dolphins where you didn't get to interject in the last 6 months? That you want to just yell at us about?
I'm sure there were. I don't remember specifics. It all kind of
Nice.
blends together.
Do you want Tyreek Hill back?
Yes, probably.
What do you mean? What does that mean? Are you just mad that he
He's
doesn't want to be on
clearly a
the team?
huge pain in the
He
ass.
sucked last year.
Yeah.
He was terrible last year.
But wasn't your whole team mad?
Yes.
Quarterback was hurt half the year.
Yeah,
You
but
want Tyreek Hill.
I guess. I don't know.
You want Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean,
Every wide receiver's a
as
do-bag.
opposed to what they would trade away for it. Like,
Except
if
for Tyler
they get like a second-round pick, who cares? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a great place with Miami. So
Oh yeah, totally.
Translation: he wants Tyreek Hill.
It's never boring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
never
that.
boring. We're
Yeah.
relitigating Bullygate too this offseason. I don't know if you caught that.
I did see that.
Yeah, because that was something we needed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually read that whole story and I was kind of like,
Why-
I don't know.
I don't know why we're relitigating. Just because Richie Cognito's like angry or whatever, but whatever.
Good times. Good times.
Thank you,
On
Carl.
that note,
All right. See ya.
other translations: the Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi, who has
Sick
I don't
name.
wait. Yeah, where is he from?
Borgonzi.
His accent is crazy. His accent.
Oh, it sounded kind of Boston.
He is the most Boston accent. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like I'm being offensive. I'm being accurate. He said
Good
idea,
preface.
idea,
Right.
with the most R I've ever heard in the word idea. Anyway.
Yes. I
Big Boston
I heard
guy.
that.
Borgonzi is my favorite shape of pasta.
Next Pope.
Yeah.
So
Pizza Balla.
pizza balla. Borgonzi said anytime you have the number one pick, it's always going to be a topic of conversation. I would say we've had some phone calls about trades yet, and I'll keep those phone calls to the vest. But we've had some calls. How does that translate to you?
Somebody call me. Keep calling. Call more.
Phone lines are open.
Call more.
Ringer on.
The Titans need to do the best they can to make it seem like Cam Ward is awesome and they really want to take
That's
Cam
the
Ward.
thing. I don't understand why the Titans aren't coming out and doing what Andrew Barry said. Is like, we love the quarterbacks in this draft. We're
100%.
really high on them.
We think Cam is a once-in-a-generation talent, and we look forward to having the opportunity to take him or Shedeur Sanders, both who are great and deserve to be number one overall picks. I would be saying that.
I mean, literally,
You want other teams to say, Jesus, I've seen what you've done for other people. and
Yes.
I want that for me.
yeah. I think Titans are going to try and trade.
I'd be like, people are banging down our door to try to get number one, and I won't let them.
Yeah. The other one, the GM.
Imagine by the way, imagine being a first-time GM, new GM, and you have the number one overall pick. Like, that's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be a big decision.
Is it also, you can also just skip a bunch of work with some other people, I think what I think about is this guy, James Gladstone, who, again, it's like, I'm sure he's
Doogie?
prepared. I do think Doogie Howser will be good at the job.
Doogie,
But suddenly it's like you're on the phone and, like, you're negotiating with, like, Eric DeCosta or someone.
your,
And, like,
your balls
imagine-
drop mid-negotiation.
Here's the,
your
let's
voice
say,
ceases.
because you know who the first person to call him is? I bet it's going to be? It's going to be like Howie Roseman. Like, imagine Howie Roseman calling you and you're 34 years old and you just, like, you still haven't gotten your wife to Jacksonville, and Howie's like, I would actually block him. I wouldn't let Howie talk to me.
It's like making a fantasy trade with the smartest guy in your league, where you're like, even though this seems like a good deal, I don't want to make
No.
the trade just in case you're pulling one over on me. And
Exactly.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You cannot make a trade with Howie Roseman. You
No.
can't. Under no circumstances.
If he calls, hang up. So the other one, the Steelers GM, Omar Khan, TK, you said this to me. He said, ideally, I'd like to keep one of the quarterbacks we had last year.
Translation, ideally, we'd have a fucking quarterback, not have to deal with this free agent slop at quarterback.
This sucks.
Ideally, we'd have a good quarterback.
Ideally, we'd like to keep. I love something about not specifying which one is so funny to me. Like,
No, it is-
whichever.
It's very weird. Very
Russ,
bizarre.
who sucked, Fields, who we didn't play.
I did actually think
Whichever.
it's pretty interesting that he said they want to have one of those guys back, because I didn't know if that was out there.
We knew that they preferred keeping Fields over Russ.
Yes.
And I'm actually
Is that
surprised he admitted it, but they admitted it. They kind of, Art Rooney actually said it. Art Rooney, the owner, just straight up was like, Rick Pryor reported to ESPN that Art Rooney straight up was just like, yeah, we probably would rather have Fields than Russ. I'm like, all right.
I think it makes
Cool.
sense to keep Fields, sign him to like a 2-3 year deal, and then bring somebody in and try to develop them and go that route, to be honest. Or get Matt Stafford, which I would do immediately.
That to me is the one that still makes the most sense. Of the Steelers being like,
The Steelers could win the Super Bowl next year with Matt Stafford.
the Steelers are the team where if if Aaron Rodgers is going to play anywhere this season, I think that Pittsburgh, you could argue, obviously Aaron Rodgers is like a cancer and probably will destroy whatever team he's on. But if any team could handle it, I kind of think like the Steelers, but also Stafford. Like, I don't know. The Steelers have had a first-round pick in every draft they've had since like 1965, except they traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. That was it. I don't think they even have to give up a first. I don't know. It's not Steelers-like, but part of me is like,
I don't think you have to give up a first for him either.
no, it's probably actually like the Rodgers deal, where it was like a third, but if he plays 80% of the snaps, it's like a second, and then obviously it didn't, so they only gave him a third.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, if you're in win now mode with the Steelers, why are you not doing that? What is the argument?
You're paying a 38-year-old quarterback like $120 million. You can get it.
He is 38.
He's going to be 38 for the season. He's 37 now. I know. I actually thought he was 36. He's actually going to be 38, which is crazy.
But he's 37. He just turned 37.
Oh, I guess it'll be 37.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
I'll go fuck myself.
But if
well, he's a spring chicken. Just go. Yeah, there you go.
Don't you think
so
if
that
Matt
changes
Stafford
everything.
was already on the Steelers and he was asking for a $120 million extension, you would do it?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
If
I was trying to see if TK was wrong about the
Stafford
Stafford
was
thing.
already on the Steelers.
This is what it says on fucking
And his contract.
Wikipedia.
No, you're right. I was just hoping you were wrong.
All right.
Sorry, where's your question?
If Matt Stafford was already on the Steelers and his contract was coming to an end and he wanted a 2-year extension for $100 million, you fucking do that immediately.
It's not my money. I don't give a shit. I think that's the thing, though. The question that matters is why are the Rams not paying him? What do they know? And they probably, frankly, see him limping through the goddamn locker room every week. Like, that to me is the thing that you don't see, like, the drudgery of what it takes for him to go out there. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is that coupled with, like, Les Snead being like, our team is super young and talented. We don't need to spend all this money on this aging quarterback, and we want to be good for the next 5-10 years, and we can, like, start building at the same age with the entire roster, which I get. The Steelers are not in that situation right now. The Steelers could win 12 games.
Also, can we just say something also that I don't know if other people are going to say? I'm going to get the number right because I'm going to look this up.
The Steelers have 36-year-old Cam Hayward. They have 30-year-old Minka Fitzpatrick. They have 30-year-old TJ Watt.
Yeah, they have a defense that could, in theory, get them to the Super Bowl. They just need an offense.
Can I throw something out? Matt Stafford has made in his career, in salary, not endorsements, $364 million. Mm-hmm. So after taxes, let's call that in the bank, after taxes made, $150 million cash. He has been paid in actual salary, $150 million. Don't you just want to win another Super Bowl? What the fuck is he doing? Like, just holding out to 60, whatever. 60 million is my conjecture. But I'm like, I don't know. You see Patrick Mahomes took a lot less money than he could to try to build a Super Bowl window. And guess what? Patrick Mahomes went to 3 Super Bowls, won 2, almost got 3 in a row. And I'm like, why is Matt Stafford holding the Rams to like this crazy, like high number out of ego?
How much did Stafford make last year?
I think he's been bitter about his deal for a long time.
He's making $35 million.
He's making $40 million average. He's 4 for 160.
Maybe he saw
so he's underpaid.
Sign a 4-year,
he's like
$180
basically
million.
paid at the
And
average
he's
right now.
been bitter about it for a long time, but I also think it's kind of wild. I don't know.
Dude, have you seen Kirk Cousins' contract? I would be pissed if I was Stafford too.
Yeah, he's mad.
Matt Stafford's going to be like, so you're telling me I'm going to make less than Sam Darnold will next year? That's ridiculous.
Cousins got.
I don't know. Part of me is also like, just win another
signing
Super
bonus.
Bowl. And like Stafford, if he won 2 Super Bowls, Matt Stafford's like kind of like an upper tier Hall of Famer.
I don't know. It's your last chance to have a big contract.
That's true.
I did it.
I don't think it's Matt Stafford's responsibility to take the pay cut. Like
It's not his responsibility, but also if he ends up in a, I don't know. But I don't know. It's hard to speak to the relationship. I mean, also don't forget McVay burned out on Goff too. Like I think that's probably the truth is it's probably like Stafford not like the classic incredibly talented guy who's like aging, and like the Rams see that before Stafford does. But also the Rams are probably like really confident that they can compete without him. You know what I mean? Like I think that, and Stafford's probably like, I'm doing more of this than you probably think. So I think, I don't know, it's probably nuanced.
I think the Rams would be bad without Stafford.
I think there's a lot of stuff we don't know here on both sides. I'm curious.
I'm sure
to see what
that
happens.
the health stuff is a big deal. But what? So the Rams are going to pay Sam Darnold 75% of what they gave Matt Stafford?
No, I think the whole point is to either get one of these rookies or like Jimmy G
really
and
start
someone,
fresh.
Kirk and a rookie, Jimmy G and someone for like, combined, get 2 quarterbacks for $8 million instead of Stafford. Because I think they
can have Russ and Justin Fields. They could do that, and then we'll take Stafford. That's what they want.
Honestly, they should. All right, other stuff here. The Falcons. Actually, no, sorry, DK.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's presser. Would also run through a wall.
Yeah, I was at SeaTac with Pete Carroll.
Just remember, he's now the head coach of the Raiders, which is insane.
SeaTac is the
weird.
Seattle Tacoma
Airport. Yeah.
Airport. You said you can learn everything about a person by the way they board.
Right.
What did you learn about Pete Carroll?
I mean, Pete Carroll, he was so polite, so gracious. There were so many people coming up to him in the airport. And he actually talked about this in his press conference here at the Combine, like, about how, after he got fired or whatever they want to call it, after they parted ways with the Seahawks, he lives in Seattle. He still has a house in Seattle. He said he's really felt from the fan base, like, an incredible amount of, love and support and whatever. Like, people go up to him, and I saw this like firsthand the other day. So many people just go up to him and like give him a fist bump, say thanks, Pete, and he's like really gracious about it. As for getting on the plane, I don't understand how this happened, but he was actually in a group behind me. He must have like gotten.
Wait, you had a better boarding
I don't understand
level
how
than
that
Pete
happened.
Carroll?
Yeah. I was like shocked.
People.
But here's the thing, he doesn't know how to book his own ticket though. There's
I don't know if you guys heard. Craig,
does.
maybe you heard. Pete Carroll hosted a podcast called Flying Coach for The Ringer, and he just wanted to live that truth.
Live up to the name.
He did fly coach.
Yeah, he flew coach.
What was his boarding? Did he have to check his bag? Like, what happened?
I honestly don't know how he was in coach.
I think
honestly, this is like hilarious and kind of sucks, but I think all the Seahawks had all the first class.
John Snyder
it was like
in
first class. It was like all the Seahawks crew.
He has to walk by.
And they like had bought all the first class on that flight. And Pete went up and like hung out with him in first class.
Do you think Pete Carroll did that to crop dust the
hour.
first class as he walked by? Just with his old ass farts, just like crop dusted all the people?
If I had to bet my life savings on which coaches 100% guarantee raw dog their flights, I'm putting my money on Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, you beat me to it. Yeah, 100%. They're just sitting there thinking.
Yeah,
They're just thinking about what they're going to do with their day.
Taking it all in.
I love Pete Carroll though, man. And like I said, he was really gracious. Everybody like went up to him. I literally took the tram that goes like from terminal to terminal with him. So I was like getting to sort of just watch him in the wild. And there's like so many people that are just coming up to him, giving him fist bumps, like saying thank you. It's like he's like the fucking Pope or something walking around. Everyone's like wanting to touch him and get like his blessing.
It still doesn't make sense that he's the head coach of the Raiders.
It's so weird.
So weird. Dude, I got to tell you though, I'm kind of being at that press conference. I'm kind of in on the Raiders. Like obviously the Raiders have the hardest path there is because I mean there's never been anything like the AFC West. And I know we said that a few years ago. And we were wrong, but it is pretty insane that you have the Chiefs with Mahomes and Andy Reid, and then Andy Reid's the winningest coach in the history of the Chiefs and the Eagles. And then you have Sean Payton and the Bo Nix with the Broncos. For Sean Payton, obviously, I mean, almost a third of their budget was dead buddy, and they made the playoffs. You have Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Now you have Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator for the Raiders.
I love
with
that.
Tom Brady as the minority owner. Like, it's pretty.
There's some legit
crazy.
people.
It's like a Mad Lib.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like Pete Carroll in Vegas with Mark Davis and Tom Brady's in the front office. Like the whole thing.
It's actually insane.
Trying to get trade up for Shador Sanders so you can get Dion involved. Like it's just going to be the weirdest
John
team ever.
But the Raiders, I will say though,
The GM's name is John Spytek.
I have been extremely down. I've pissed off Austin Gale as a Raiders fan here. I just pissed off all the fans and the people who work here. But like, the Austin Gale has been hard. Like, mad that keep saying the Raiders were a bad job. And I will say this. Pete Carroll will bring a competitiveness week to week that like the Raiders aren't going to be as easy to play anymore. And I will say, I think there's an optimism that the Raiders could crush the draft because when Pete Carroll came from college to the NFL, this Legion of Boom was built based on large part because Pete Carroll brought this like recruiting knowledge where he had understood the draft class and more context on it. And than anyone else did. So like that Legion of Boom class is built on his college knowledge. Guess who just did something like that? Like I think the Chargers kind of crushed their draft. You know what I mean? Like that, it happens a lot. Chip Kelly, having just done it, I mean, he was at UCLA for 6 years, and then he was at Ohio State for a year. I'm like, I mean, that's 14 players in the draft right there that Chip Kelly just coached. So I don't know. I think I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders crushed the draft.
I can't wait to watch the Raiders this year. I think they're going to be fun to watch, or at least maybe not the actual like on-field product be fun, but they'll be competitive.
Yeah,
they'll compete, and obviously that's like Carroll's whole thing is like always compete, win forever. Heifetz, you asked him a question that I thought was funny. Can you rephrase?
So I asked him, basically I was like, your book is called Win Forever, and he was talking about his sabbatical.
Right.
Like the year off he took. Someone asked him if he retired. He said, didn't retire.
Yeah.
Never used the language retire. And he was like, so I said, your book is called Win Forever, and you're talking about things you learned in year off. And it's like, there's this saying that like, if you want to learn something, it has to hurt your wallet or hurt your ego. So what is something that you learned, or say, did you learn something this offseason that like hurt your ego, but you think is going to help you win forever?
And he kind of smiled and just smirked and said yes. and then like went to the next question.
It was like, next
It
question.
was like great.
And I was like, all right. Thanks, Pete.
Dude, the funny thing is, this is, and Pete Carroll is the oldest coach in the NFL. He's 73 years old, I believe. But he doesn't look old.
No.
He doesn't like have an old energy at all. And I went to John Schneider's combine.
He's never been around Monty Austin for it, or Nick Cassera.
Right. He's the opposite of an energy vampire. He brings energy to everyone. That's it. John Schneider said at his presser, they asked him, what is it that Carroll, because I think this was a Raiders B guy or something like that. He was like, what is it that Carroll brings to an organization? And Schneider, it's so funny and ironic. It's because he's so old. He's like, energy. Just every day, he's bringing energy.
It's like Harbaugh. You walk in a room and it's like, all right, the vibe in here is different. Like literally, the makeup of the air is different with this guy.
Carroll every day, he has like this philosophy where he never wants anyone to get comfortable. And so, and this was in his book, Win Forever. Every day he comes in with like a new thing, a new twist to like keep people on their toes. You can't go in and just expect to go through the motions on any given day.
Sometimes he wears like a funny hat.
The rubber baron hat. Do you guys remember that? There was like a GIF back in, it was like 2012 or 2013 of Pete Carroll like walking up the sideline, like smirking to himself and just like being really like full of himself. And someone put like a monocle and a big like top hat on it and they called it Robber Baron Pete Carroll.
I'm picturing Tim Robinson with the I think you should leave with that hat.
No, not in that context.
Oh, okay.
It was a good hat. It was a funny hat.
All right, other stuff from pressers. Raheem Morris, who's the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, also on Flying Coach, actually came out and just said it. Like, I appreciate. He talked about the tush push because the quote unquote unnamed team, it was the Packers, tried to submit a rule to ban the tush push. The Packers are trying to ban the tush push, pushed it, whatever. Raheem Morris actually came out and said it and was like, yeah, I thought it should have been illegal 3 years ago. The tush push play, I was never a big fan. There's just no other play in our game where you can absolutely get behind somebody and push them. And you know what? I think that is probably really whiny, but I respect that he said it.
The translator here would be, if I can't have happiness, neither can they. This reminds me of one of those things where it's like, I had to go through 10 years of school to do this, and everyone else should have to do that too, or whatever. It's like just kind of like a grumpy old man thing.
Yeah, I feel like my response is, well, then why don't you just learn how to do it?
Dude, this is my thing with
the thing with me.
This is my thing with the tush push. I think that there are a couple pass-fail tests in any industry, and it's like, I really am skeptical of any team that's not trying to do the tush push. Like the Eagles found it. The one thing I'll give them is it is a loophole. The NFL, it was illegal to push players in your team. And in 2005, Mike Pereira, actually, who's now with the Fox, the rules guy was like, it's too hard to legislate pushing players. Pulling is illegal. We're not going to enforce it. And then no one figured that out for 15 years. So it's like, I get that it is kind of a weird loophole, but like, fucking, like, it was like, oh, stop it. It's physically not possible to stop because they go first. That's why they mess with the hard count, is because as long as the tush push team does the technique right and goes first, you can't stop them. It's not physically really possible unless you go around the back and pull Jalen Hurts backward. But like, I don't understand. Like, they're so much better at it, clearly. Like, the technique is clearly better.
By the way, it feels kind of like it's going to get outlawed.
I think that's so loser shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
I don't to do it.
I'm not saying that, but don't you think it feels like it's going in that direction?
No, I think because you need 24 teams. Nick Sirianni was asked about this. Nick Sirianni was asked about the tush push. And again, so the quote in the translation, the quote is, the fact that the tush push is a successful play for the Eagles and people want to take that away, I think it's a little unfair. I almost feel a little insulted, which I actually don't think needs a translation at all.
Right.
I almost feel a little insulted is actually... There you go, Nick Sirianni, emotional vulnerability.
It's funny because I think every team should just learn how to do the tush push.
Just learn to do it.
If it's so unstoppable, then learn how to do it.
Right.
But also, then I don't want to watch an NFL game where it's just tush pushes every 3rd and 4th and 1. That
is honestly a better argument to me of like the fact that like
rather
honestly,
than it being unfair, it's actually just not a good product.
They're using
play around the goal line.
They're using player safety. The irony of the NFL talking about player safety to change a rule they don't like, where it's like, there's a lot of things you could change. And it's like, well, Chris Jones got hurt in the Super Bowl. Chris Jones fucking lined up sideways, and he got his neck hurt. I'm like, yeah, maybe because you went into a fucking 1,100-pound pile drive sideways. Like, that wasn't a good idea. But like the player safety thing's bullshit. I mean, it's not, but like, there's no proof that the tush push is worse than any other football play.
But it's just it will be a bad product if every team is running the tush push on every short down play.
That is genuinely to me a more fair argument than like, honestly, just whinging. Just like,
it's like the Harden swipe or something, where it's like it's a smart play, it works every time, but it's not fun to watch.
But at least Harden's like a basketball Saul Goodman, where he's just like a skeevy lawyer, just like, no, that's the rule. Like, at least, I don't know, this is not a flag. I don't know. I let the Eagles do it. It's fine. All right. there's the anger translation. We have to get to a very important thing now, which is one of the best days that happens in the entire NFL is every year these NFLPA surveys come out.
Yeah.
Which is the NFL, the Players Association, the union for the players, had the brilliant idea to let the players, at the end of the season, when everyone's pissed off, do a survey on how good is your team's facilities, and the whole is to inform free agents on where they want to sign. And it happened actually because I believe Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars were so awful to the players that they were like, we're actually going to do this for every team.
Well, they have like a bunch of categories: treatment of families, food, dining area, nutritionist, locker room, training staff, weight room, and strength coaches.
It's incredible, and it's honestly
it's
amazing.
a grade from A to F, A+ to F-.
They literally wait till all the pressers are done for the coaches and GMs because it's so embarrassing if they have to get asked about it. So,
also team travel, head coach, and ownership. Which I didn't see there.
Craig, do you have any highlights? There's so many. There's so many things that caught my eye on this.
Generally, first we'll do the winners quickly, and then the more fun part of the losers. I would say the most respected franchises in terms of these categories is the Minnesota Vikings and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Which Minnesota, I kind of understand. Miami surprised me a little bit.
It does too.
Miami was literally first out of 32 teams in 5 of the 8 categories. First.
I think it's because Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, is a huge booster to Michigan, and I think that he actually understands what the Michigan locker he probably has donated a lot of the money to the Michigan athletic department. He's put it to his own team too.
The Dolphins got an A or an A+ in every category.
It's unbelievable. And then the Minnesota Vikings, who just continue to seem like the most professional, perfect franchise, were also among the top 2 or 3 in every single category.
Yeah, they got one B+, and otherwise A's, A-,
So
A+.
good.
My favorite. There are so many. The Bengals. The Bengals got, I think, an F for treatment of families. And I'm quoting from the report, the Bengals are one of only 3 teams that do not offer daycare during home games.
You have to pay for it.
They have to find childcare. And one of only 10 teams that do not offer a family room during home games, which
that's nuts.
I'm not sure if family room is specific to breastfeeding or whatever, but just like a place to have kids or whatever. And so anyway, but the Bengals are the only team in the NFL that neither offer daycare nor a family room on home games.
They just don't give a fuck.
They just shit about your family.
Imagine just showing up and you're like, what do I do with my kids? And like, not my problem.
I don't pay your kid. I pay you.
The other one, I love the food for the Bengals.
Money's for.
The Cincinnati Bengals, the players rated the taste of their team's food a 4.82 out of 10, which ranked last.
What's the idea of these
4.82
teams just having shitty flavored food?
It's like they should have got, what was the Italian that Sylvie was just talking about? They should have got the Italian.
We just give them these like boxes.
They got the Caesar wrap.
The Cardinals are another one that were terrible. So the Cardinals are dead last.
Yeah,
if you
they were
average
worst.
the scores there,
I want to say they were worse last year too, or like one of the worst.
They are dead last. I guess all of the players complain about the facility being too small. Maybe they made it for Kyler only, but
it's like Men in Black, they're like the little room with all the other guys. It's like the ceiling's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah. And said everything is way too small. There's no pregame.
What is this? A building for ants?
Nope. There's no
center for ants.
There's no
locker room for ants.
There's no pregame sideline passes for their families, which feels again ridiculous.
Wait, what? For the Cardinals?
Yeah. So if Kyler Murray's like, hey, I want my girlfriend
so
to
this
be
is
on
why
the
Cliff.
sideline,
That's why Cliff needed to DM McVay
for his Instagram girlfriend. Yeah. Hey man,
the Cardinals are notorious though. The Derek Anderson, the quarterback who used to be on the Browns but also played for the Cardinals, he said it's the most dysfunctional team he's ever been a part of, and that in the past, the Cardinals used to force their players to pay for water, Gatorade, sweats, and they got charged for lunch.
Dude, that was we talked this last year. They got deducted if they took boxed lunch. They would have boxed lunch out for players to practice, and they would take it home. They deducted it from their paychecks.
There's like vending machines. They're trying to get Gatorade.
Do you imagine paying the Cardinals were paying like Larry Fitzgerald like $14 million a year, and then charging him like $14 for lunch. That's unbelievable. There's so many of these. The specifics are so funny when you think about how much. This is what don't even get me started. But it's funny to look at the Bengals and be like, Bengals players wish more meals would be provided throughout the week. The team does not provide 3 meals a day. Is one of only 2 teams in the league that does not provide 3 meals a day.
Ridiculous.
And then the Bengals began offering dinner on Wednesdays, and this year they began offering breakfast.
Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah, they began offering breakfast for players who come into the facility on their off day for additional training and work. They wouldn't even have breakfast at the facility.
They started offering dinner on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
just one day.
That's their thing.
It's dinner Wednesdays.
The other, honestly,
so if you wear a Hawaiian shirt, you can come and have dinner. with everyone.
Man, Joe Burrow deserves twice the money he's getting for what he's doing for the
Also,
reputation.
you got to remember these guys are coming from these locker rooms and other they're in college and they're Ohio State or LSU, Oregon. These are palaces, Bama, palaces at Georgia, and then you get to Kansas City, like, oh, I'm with the Super Bowl champions, and you walk in and it's the sewage leaks. Your locker rooms are closer. Like there's not. It's like Ted Lasso. There's no hot water. Like it's crazy. The Washington locker room
straight
smells
out of
like sewage.
Major League.
That was on the Washington one where they're like, we love the new owners, but like it still smells like literal shit in the locker room.
Can you do the Jets one? The Jets are great.
The Jets is the best one. So they got an F from ownership, which was dead last.
Does that refer to Woody, or Brick?
Woody, the fourth, not Brick.
Brick is getting PS5s installed in every
Brick's
single
taking
locker.
note. Yeah, he's taking notes. I think Brick will actually improve this. But the funny thing is here, so last year, Woody Johnson. Last year they got a really bad grade, and then this year Jets players said things got even worse. So this is a quoted from the NFLPA. Rather than addressing concerns, players believe that management responded to feedback by making conditions worse. For example, after
you thought that was bad?
Yeah.
Watch this.
Oh, now your fingers
You're gonna
hurt?
smoke the whole pack of cigarettes.
Now your back's going to hurt. For example, after receiving low grades for their food program last year, players felt that the team cut the food budget and did not retain their longtime dietitian, who was previously their highest rated staff member. So they fired the one person that had a good grade.
And that person went to the fucking Chiefs.
Well, I thought you were going to say they went to the Eagles like Saquon. Wait, did they really?
Yeah, he went to
Oh
the
my
Chiefs.
God.
The dietitian went to the Chiefs.
Anyway, I think
it blows my mind. Like these guys
so
are
cheap.
athletes. Like the fuel that they put into their body is so important.
I know.
How are you not
They're trying to
prioritizing
just be
3
so
meals a day, the healthiest, best foods that
It's
these guys can
unbelievable.
the NFLPA report said, according to of the Jets, it's a culture of fear here. Like what?
Literally, like,
And then Aaron Rodgers came.
Right. I know this doesn't even have anything to do with Rodgers. They were 29th out of 32 in overall score.
dude,
Pretty hilarious.
They were A+ though in treatment of aliens.
yeah, no, it's true.
They said that in the locker room, the carpet is stained and worn out, as if it's been there for decades.
It probably has. As if it's been there for decades.
That's, dude.
Carpet is like the easiest thing to
If there are
replace.
any other funny things in the NFLPA report that we missed, emails at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Nothing quite as good as the Jaguars locker room having rats the first year they did this.
That was an all-time.
And the Jaguars just like, there was, you know when people talk about rats sometimes in a way where it's like, no, like they live with the rats. Like they refer to, like they're roommates. Like they're so, like too used to the rats.
It's like people who live in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Jags were like, just talked with the rats like they were like 54th player.
I gotta say, I'm disappointed. The Steelers are like C minus across the fucking board.
Yeah. You would expect more. You would expect more from that.
Dude, the Giants, 67% of players in the Giants said they get an individualized nutrition plan, which ranks 30th. So it's like 1 out of 3 Giants players don't get an individualized nutrition plan, which is like, okay.
Why not?
Sure.
I think it's the
It
punter.
just feels like such an obvious thing to do.
The nutrition thing blows me.
I don't understand. All right. I want to do a couple emails.
Emails.
So first of all, I'm letting you guys know, tomorrow we got a lot of emails about the Post Malone Oreos dropping. I bought them and I brought them to Indianapolis.
So
and we're
they're
gonna eat them
Post
tomorrow.
Malone flavored Oreos?
Well, no, they
I don't think
taste
so.
like Post Malone.
No, they don't.
I believe he chose
allegedly.
the flavor, which I believe is like a salted caramel situation.
It's smart for them to do the Ben and Jerry's thing where it's like random people can get it, but like, also wait. Okay, no, that was a joke, right? I realize now. You
think I actually thought it tastes like Post Malone?
He's the one who thinks cannibalism should be legal.
Altruistic cannibalism.
Right.
Altruistic cannibalism.
I think we're wasting a lot of food.
That's how FTX went down.
We are wasting valuable food.
Okay.
Useful meat.
The other one. All right. So the other one is
you can be an organ donor. Why can't you be a
so many other
meat
things
donor?
meat we could use besides humans.
we eat all the other meat.
No, we don't.
We
There
killed
are
all
a
the
lot
other
of people
species.
who need food.
We don't eat all the other meat.
We kill them out. There's not a surplus of animals
We're
roaming
doing
the
our
earth
fucking
right now.
best to kill as many animals as we can to eat them. And all I'm saying is, again, this was said on The Hottest Take, which is like a show about being insane. So this is not my real measure.
The take was basically, but when you fill out a driver's license, you could donate organs
you should
and
be
eyes.
a
You should also
flesh
get
donor.
to show. Is it basically going to cremate you, or you want to feed? Give back.
Yeah, or can I help? Can you make some tasty tacos out of my thigh?
Taco Tuesdays.
Sofritas.
I don't think it's that crazy. You're already dead. If they're taking all your organs, grab a couple muscles
While you're there.
while you're there.
So the other thing that happened was
There's something to that.
last time we did an episode, we were talking. DK we were talking about Hooters, and how weird it is that Hooters exist. And between us recording that episode and now, Hooters literally went bankrupt.
They filed for bankruptcy.
Hooters filed for bankruptcy.
Hi, Translator. Bankruptcy.
Do you think we killed Hooters? There's one across the nicest restaurant in Indy is St. Elmo, and across the street's a Hooters.
There's a Hooters.
And I mean,
we're going there.
DK's going. I think Heifetz.
No, you guys are coming with me.
I also learned that Hooters first opened in
DK
1983.
was at 7 a.m. this morning. It was weird.
I keep wondering if we walk in, how many coaches we're gonna say.
Yeah. Which coach do you think we'll see?
You know who it. You know.
I'm not going to say anything.
No, I'm not going to say anything. No.
Hooters open. You don't want to get in trouble for libel or libel.
Did you just call it libel?
Libel.
That's worse than vestige.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What are the
That's
two?
way worse.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry for saying that. What are the two that
slander and libel?
Yeah, okay.
Slander is spoken and libel's written. Right?
You don't want to do slanderous stuff.
You will tell us about.
I say vestige once, and it's like, oh my god, the world's ending. He gets the thing we can be sued for wrong.
Heifetz, you know the situation here.
Libel is worse than vestige.
That's fine.
But also there was a funny.
Afraid to say anything.
Vestige. Also, I don't think you used vestigial correctly.
Clearly, I wasn't up on it. You know, he said vestige. He brought vestigial.
No, you said it first, pal.
You said it's a vestige of something.
I didn't realize, honestly, because they're pronounced differently, I thought they were different words. I didn't realize vestige is related to vestigial because I didn't pronounce it that way. Now I get it. That makes sense.
A vestigial organ that you could donate along with your flesh.
Yeah, you could eat it.
Anyway.
A bit more like a tapas, though. It's probably small. Anyway. All right, two workplace apps and a lie. Shout out to everyone who emailed these. ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I can't get over how many of these are good. Okay. I want to read an email here from Tony.
Anthony.
Tony says, I'm a tech salesperson, formerly at Coupa, and I was ashamed to recognize every company you guys mentioned. When you're in the tech world, you think nothing of it, but yeah, they're stupid as fuck. Here is a few I threw together that were in his email inbox the day he wrote the email.
God. And then did you make up a third one, or did he?
He did.
Okay.
Mind Tickle.
Come on.
Blippy. And Squiz. One of those is fake. Two are real companies.
Wait. Can you tell me what line of work he's in, or no?
He just said tech salesperson at Coupa.
Tech sales.
Mind Tickle, Blippy, and Squiz. Two of those are real companies.
I think Blippy is fake.
Yeah, Blippy is a kid show. It makes me very upset that Mind Tickle might be real.
Mind Tickle's definitely real.
Wait, so you know Blippy's a show?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I didn't know that. I'm guessing Blippy's
terrible show.
Blippy.
I don't know. Your kids
fine. All right, fine. I'll do another
Mind Tickle and Squiz?
Tony had another one. I'll do another one.
Wait, what is Mind Tickle?
What the fuck is Squiz?
I don't know. You want to do? Find it, Mind Tickle, and then I'll give you one more. We have so many of these.
Squiz.
Mind Tickle, sales enablement, and revenue productivity.
Squiz. You want to Google that in front of other people?
Squiz app.
God, I hate all these apps.
Squiz it's a property listing app?
Why did they name a sales enablement and revenue productivity platform Mind Tickle?
Provocative.
Here, there's one more. Since you do that.
Okay.
Zip,
Okay.
Quip, and Glip.
God damn it.
Quip feels real.
Quip feels real.
Zip feels real. What's the last one?
I think Glip has to be fake.
I would say Glip is fake.
Zip is like a way to like.
Shit. Glip is your team's conversation platform to plan, share, and organize work.
That's Glip?
Glip. God damn it.
Glip sounded real to me.
What are all these companies?
Everybody,
why don't we make one of these
companies right now? We're in that like app.
Quip is the toothbrush people. God damn it.
You know everything. Oh, that's right. Quip.
Damn it.
Yeah. You know everything now. It's like if you name something like Monday, it would be like MNDY. You can't have any vowels in it, or everything has to be one little cute word. That's like an onomatopoeia. I hate it. We're in a terrible place with naming things.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I do.
I like it was just like fucking Microsoft. Good name.
Microsoft is the one you went with?
Yeah, whatever.
Microsoft, the combination of those two words together is terrible. It's called Microsoft.
I've never thought about that.
You've never thought about it?
Oh my god! I just think it's funny that you chose that.
Microsoft.
Like the paragon
of names.
How is okay? I've never thought of it this way. How is a company called Microsoft worth $2 trillion?
Yeah.
It's a good example though of what I'm saying because it was not like a market tested perfect little advertising branded name. It's just like what they thought in the moment worked, and then.
But that's also because there was no internet to make fun of that for like the dick jokes at the time. They hadn't. When Microsoft later like did the internet, then they never would have existed later. You couldn't now launch a company called Microsoft.
No,
you get laughed out of the building.
That's my issue with nowadays.
And all the fruit are taken. It's like Apple, and well, I guess that's the only one. But
Do you think Google was the one that started this shit? Google?
Yeah, honestly, probably.
Google.
They want to be some version of Google.
You guys ever think about the fact that Google?
I like it just like J.P. Morgan.
That was just a guy. Yeah, we should just name things after a guy.
Goldman Sachs.
Strong. Just names.
J.P. Morgan.
Yeah.
You guys ever think about Google's motto was "Don't be evil" for 25 years,
They changed it.
and then they just changed it.
Yeah.
It's okay to be evil.
They just
My
changed the
cousin works
motto.
there and has like a big problem with it changing.
What a crazy thing to take. You hit $2 trillion market cap, and you're like, you know what?
Now's the time.
Time to be evil.
We've
Time to be
done
evil.
this long enough.
All right, Google Gemini. When you transcribe this,
Wait, so was
don't
Zip,
kill
was
us.
it Zip?
Zip.
It's fake?
I think Quip was fake because Quip's a toothbrush company, not a tech company.
Oh.
Zip is real. Quip
Zip is
real.
like the thing that you can like make files smaller.
I mean, I don't know
Right.
if that's the name of the actual
That's a
company.
Zip. That's a
I don't know.
Like a zip file. I don't know if that's,
buy now, pay later with Zip.
Oh.
Millions of stores online.
you got ZipRecruiter.
It's a financial company.
Zip is like you're getting payday loans.
Oh, I guess that is what that is. Oh, maybe Zip helps businesses. I think it's payday loans for businesses. Zip helps businesses procure faster, control spending, reduce risk, no code workflows, budget, and approval transparency. This whole thing's just free ads to these terrible companies, isn't it? Fuck.
Whatever.
We should be getting paid by these
no one's
three.
going to remember any of these names. They all
Glorbo sold for $3 billion to
Glorbo.
Salesforce.
We're talking about Blippy and Blip and
God.
Quip.
God. All right. Eventually, someone's going to email us that I work at these companies. Okay.
Email us the best old
Yeah.
school company names.
Yeah, email us old school
Morgan.
company names in a line.
Standard Oil.
That was sick. That's a good one.
That's just cool.
Yeah.
Do you know that he?
That's cool.
Now it'd be called like oil, but it'd be spelled weird.
manager of the Browns. And
Do you know that?
I think it was maybe that was a podium. I'm not sure.
We got to go. Okay. We have to go right now. All right. I'm going to whisper into the mic. Andrew Barry, who I was talking about before as an energy vampire, is right next to us talking.
I'm so bored. We have to go.
I'm going to die. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Tucker. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everyone, for the help. This is the last show I'm ever going to do. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Bono.
Nice.
Or you too.
You two kind of ruined my life, but
So the first song I listened to on my iPod was
ruined your life.
yeah. The second that stupid album dropped on Apple Music,
The one that they
it's
forced
still
you to have
you have to get.
forever.
I still if I click my phone wrong, sometimes it starts playing, and I'm like, how is this still here?
it's like it's a mind virus that I can't get rid of.
Did I ever tell you guys the first song I listened to on my iPod ever was Vertigo by U2? And he starts that song with Uno, Dos, Tres, Catorce.
Oh, God,
So
that annoys
I
the
thought
fuck out of me.
Catorce was 4 in Spanish till I was like 15
Why
years
does he
old.
do that? Just because it sounds
1, 2, 3, 14. It's like, oh, it's Vertigo. Like, he losing track of stuff.
I don't think it.
But I didn't know that because I was
guess
7.
I feel like he just didn't know Quattro.
I think you know. I also thought that.
Uno, dos,
I also
tres,
thought he was,
catorce.
but I also thought he was like from Spain forever because the first thing I ever heard him say was Spanish. So I thought Bono was Spanish because, and then later when I found out he was not, I felt very silly.
How did you get the name Bono?
Well, it used to be J.P. Morgan.
Paul David Hewson. Other names Bono Vox? Oh, it must be Latin. That makes sense. But I don't know what that means.
Guys, I'm kind of dragging. You feeling a little, feeling a little sleepy.
Yeah, we probably should get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, Bono Vox means good voice. That's a little presumptuous.
Okay. It's fine. No, it's good. Quantum Computer Services. Now that's the name of a company.
It's a real company.
Yeah, I like that.
JP Morgan.
Goodbye, everyone.
What a weird way to end. John Pierpoint Morgan.
Oh, we could keep going.
Target.
What was Target? Oh, what
Target
is,
used to be called Goodfellow Dry Goods. I love that.
that's Goodfellow Dry Goods. Well, Target's better than Goodfellow Dry Goods.
That's like Russell Wilson's brand. Good Man brand,
That's his brand?
I think.
Russell Wilson's brand is called Good Man Brand?
That's pretty terrible.
You know, Pepsi was originally called Brad's Drink.
What? Get out of here.
Before the bubbly Survey sensation was known as Pepsi, it was called Brad's Drink.
Caleb Bradham?
Yeah.
Brad's Drink.
Created a carbonated beverage he called Brad's Drink. He served the concoction from the soda fountain in his pharmacy on the corner of Pollock and Middle Streets. Wow.
Brad's Drink.
Shout out, Brad.
Well, thank you for listening to Danny and Craig's Pod. That's the name of our show.
Yeah. Brad's Pod. Goodbye, everyone.